Hello everybody, Paul here. Today I'm going to be doing a shave comparing the Ikon 102 Slant to the standard or the older regular Ikon Slant razor. I'm going to be shaving one side of my face with the 102 and the other side with the regular Ikon Slant, and we'll just kind of see, compare how they feel, and see which one shaves better. So I've not used the regular Ikon Slant in a little while, so but I've always gotten pretty decent shaves with this. I have been using this a little more lately since I got it, and I really like it. As you can see, the design is completely different. The 102 Slant gets its slant from the actual head of the razor being slanted, whereas the regular Ikon Slant razor actually twists the blade like your standard slants. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to be using the Wickham Super Smooth Spice Trade soap today, and I'm going to be lathering that with my Rod Neep Dreadnaught brush. This is the Fire Burl handle material, and this has got the extra silver tip knot, and I believe this knot is 24 millimeter. So we'll go ahead and get started here. I'm just going to start lathering up the soap and loading my brush. I have just gotten out of the shower and applied my pre-shave. My normal pre-shave routine is just a shower, and I wash my soap with a glycerin-based soap. And then I will apply usually some Perazzo green pre-shave. I don't know that it makes that much difference in the quality of the shave using that pre-shave, but I do like the kind of menthol tingle I get from that Perazzo, so I like to use that. So okay, so see, the Super Smooth is forming a nice lather on the puck. We'll get a good generous loading on my brush, and then we'll go ahead and get going with the shave to compare these two wonderful razors. Just going to wet my face here a little bit with some hot water. Okay, and we'll go ahead and get started here. This Spice Trade soap is a spicy scent. I thought it kind of reminded me of Old Spice, although I'm not an Old Spice expert. I did send a sample of this to one of the gentlemen on the Facebook groups, Jim, who is a Old Spice aficionado, and he did inform me that this does not smell that much like Old Spice, so there you go. It is a spicy scent, maybe a little bit sweeter than the actual Old Spice aftershave or cologne, but it is a nice scent. I do really like the scent of the soap. I'm just going to add a little more water here to the lather, just kind of loosen this up a little bit. This Rod Neep brush is really great. His extra silver tip knots are really nice and soft. This one is kind of sunk in pretty good, so it's a pretty low loft, so it really has really nice backbone. The handle's super comfortable, and because it's a little longer, you don't get the lather all over your hands. But this brush is really an outstanding brush. So if any of you guys are considering a kind of very luxurious custom silver tip, I certainly would take a look at what Rod Neep has to offer. He does a fine shaving brush. It has some really cool handle designs and materials that he uses. So, and again, I really love this extra silver tip knot in this brush. This thing is just really soft, but has great backbone because of the low loft. So and it's very, very dense. It's a super dense brush. So I'm just going to rinse off my hand here and set this soap puck down. Just the soap will flow off my hands. Get this lather off there. So it looks like we got a pretty good lather going there. So we'll go ahead and get going with our shave. Just smooth this out a little bit. Okay. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to shave the right side of my face with the 102 and the left side of my face with the regular Ikon Slant. And hopefully I won't screw this up. I know in a couple of my other head-to-heads, one time I actually forgot to do a pass with one of the razors, and another time I did a full pass with one of the razors. So sometimes it's easy to get confused when you're trying to talk and switch between razors, but I'm going to try and not mess this up. So here we go, guys. Okay, so, and I forgot to mention, I do have a brand new feather in both of these razors. I think, as I said in my original initial impressions video on the 102, that because the blade exposure is fairly small in that razor, it is a very mild shaving razor. It feels mild, and it could take a little bit of use to kind of get used to the angle that that one requires. The regular Ikon Slant feels to me to be a little bit more aggressive. You can definitely feel the blade more. The blade, or the audible feedback, is completely different. The 102 is fairly quiet, whereas the regular Ikon Slant is you really get a lot of audible feedback with that razor. One thing I think worth mentioning too is that I think the blade loading with the regular Ikon Slant has I think many guys have had an issue with that. It is a bit fiddly to get the blade to line up straight. But once you've used it a few times, you kind of figure out what you need to do. But I think part of the problem is the pins, at least on this version I have, which was the original one, are a little bit small, and so that allows the blade to kind of rock side to side, and that can make it difficult to get the blade exposure completely even. But what I do is I'll put it down there, I'll line it up, and I'll kind of hold it down there, put the bottom, the base plate on there, and start screwing the handle on, and I'll take a look at it, and if it's not lined up right, I'll just carefully adjust the blade as I tighten down the handle. You got to be real careful, because if you touch the edge of the blade, that you don't cut your fingers. But it seems to work fine. It's not that big a deal. So. With the 102, there's no issue with the blade loading. You just put it in there and screw the base plate down. It loads really easily. The other thing about the 102 that I've noticed is that you do have to rinse it more frequently. It does seem to clog a little bit if you don't, and then when it clogs, you don't really feel the blade, and it's hard to get the right angle. So I just basically, as soon as I feel it starting to kind of clog, I'll switch sides with it, and then I'll keep going until the other side kind of clogs, and then I'll just rinse the thing off and continue on. That is really not an issue with the regular Ikon Slant. there is a fair amount of space under the blade, and the lather seems to clear away a little bit easier with that one. You do have kind of like these little teeth in there, so there's a little bit more space under the blade for the lather to pass through there, and you don't seem to have as much issue with that. So. And as you can see, the Wickham soap really creates a nice lather, really nice, creamy, thick, dense lather. It's very easy to work with. Really a great soap. I did have some samples of the South Sea spray that was sent to me by Bruce Weber. I really like the scent of that one. That's a little bit fresher scent. This one's a little bit more spicy, and this one actually probably a little bit better for the fall. The other one maybe a little better for the summer months, but they're both great. So, okay, last pass. And then my regular Ikon Slant. So I just try and do the same amount of touching up kind of with both these razors in my trouble spot areas. And call it good. So both razors are very, very comfortable. To me, the original Ikon Slant does feel more aggressive. You can definitely feel the blade more. And the audible feedback is a lot more with the original Ikon Slant versus the 102. The 102, the blade loading is a lot easier. It's a very mild feeling razor, but my experience with it is even though it feels mild, when you're done, you usually have a really nice close shave. So, also we talked about the price. The 102, of course, is much less expensive than the regular Ikon Slant, and that, of course, needs to be taken into consideration. I think when they originally offered that, they offered the head only, and I think the head only was like $35, so it's about maybe half the price of the regular Ikon head. Although I don't know the exact price of the regular Ikon head. The entire razor I think is around $100, so maybe a little bit more than that. Okay, so just going to wipe my face off with the towel here, and then I'll apply my aftershave, and then we'll feel the face and see how the shave turned out. I always like to use this skin bracer, this vintage skin bracer Spice Scent aftershave with the Wickham soap. This seems to pair really great with it. I love the scent of this. I wish they would bring it back sometime. So, and like all skin bracers, it does have a little bit of menthol in it, which is nice. So, okay. going to dry my hands off and then we'll feel the results. So the cheeks and jawline are pretty much the same on both sides. The neck is always the area that's the problem area. So there's still a little bit of stubble right here, but really pretty smooth. On the 102 side, there's a little bit more stubble, I think, right in this area and right down in through here. It feels like the regular Ikon Slant got a little bit closer than the 102 on this shave. So, and that may be due to the fact that it's just a little bit more aggressive. Both razors are super comfortable to use. I really like the 102 as a daily shaver. It works really great. Easy to use in the morning when you get up. You don't have to fiddle around with loading the blade. Maybe not, doesn't give as close a shave as the regular Ikon Slant. I mean, this is a great shaver too. It works awesome. But it is a little bit more fiddly. But the trade-off is that, at least for me, the shave seems to be a little bit closer. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. And if you have any comments, leave them below and I'll respond to them as soon as I can. Have a great weekend and we'll see you soon. Bye.